What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Real Estate Reserve podcast. I'm Jason Balin from Hard Money Bankers. Sitting next to me, about 2 hours north, Ian Horowitz from Equity Warehouse. So I'll tell you officially that we have no formal topic for today. And you know how we normally have a goal for Ian and myself to provide a ton of value on every one of our podcasts. We try to bring in great industry guests for everybody. We don't have that today. That being said, even though we don't have, a formal like we're going to give you a ton of value, I promise we're going to keep this thing very entertaining. We've had a lot going on between the two of us over the last few weeks. We want to share some stuff related to the White Marlin Open that Ian was in last week, and we felt that this topic, how to enjoy life and operate a massive business, was important. And although we don't have a guest, and we're just kind of ad lib to see where this conversation goes today, I think authenticity is the best way, and I think that's important to kind of understand. You know, obviously in business you always have a game plan, but things happen, shit happens, right? Things kind of go off in a tangent, and it's good to be kind of able to adapt. One other thing related to this topic, if we don't have this podcast. And, we also host a meetup group, Real Estate Investing Incubator meetup group. Like it's not scripted. It's not like we don't pre-edit, post-edit, have a team of developers and things like that. Like we're very authentic, right? We everything's live. That we feel like that's kind of the best way to do it. It's not pre-planned. There's no post-editing. We're full-time operators. I run a full hard money lending business. Ian operates self-storage and a lot of other real estate assets. So that's what we do. The goal of this show, the goal of everything that we do is try to just be as authentic as possible. We want to make sure everyone has kind of a behind the scenes look about how we operate. And if you have any questions kind of along the way or comments, feel free to comment on any of these feeds. If you're watching or listening, we're open. We're going to give you the next 30 minutes or so of undivided attention to go over some fun that we've had over the last few weeks, and anything you have related to real estate investing, marketing, personal finance, things like that. Those are things that Ian and I talk about all the time. So instead of us talking about it together, we're talking to it, publicly. So what's up with you, Ian?
Nothing, man. I think the summer is about to wind down. It's I noticed people trying to grind out deals before the end of the year. It's been pretty busy. Things are good as always. Office is a mess like usual, but things have been good. It's been a fun year. It's been an interesting year. I think a lot of things have happened, and the topic at hand is an interesting one. Because we've talked about this a few times, and I don't know that we've ever really truly deep dived this topic of people want to swing the pendulum one way or they want to swing the pendulum another, and being able to run a business and enjoy life at the same time. A lot of the times people go with the either or, a lot of either or. And it's like, well, that's not why we do this. We do this to have both sides of it, to have a business that produces income in exchange to then be able to go and enjoy life. Right. And I think that's a lot of what gets lost in translation over time is, being able to go and do both. I mean, you just spent some time down at the beach the same time that I was away, and deals still got done. Properties still got funded. Properties still got bought. Our portfolio continued to operate. And I think that's the advantage of having a bigger business over a smaller business. The scale allows you to put the people and processes in place to get to what you want. And I know people would sit here and say, oh, no, I can do this with a small portfolio. You can, but you're still the point man at any given time. As you continue to grow and scale, that point man starts to move, and there's multiple levels of people handling different pieces of the business that allow you to continue to grow.
Yeah. And I'm going to add this to the screen the screen right here if you're watching this, and if you want to comment, what do you want out of your business? I think that's an important one. and I can put that in the comments section as well. And I'm sorry if you're listening to this after the fact, but it was funny because Chris and I had a call with another hard money lender in another state, and I'm on the way home. I was Chris in the office yesterday. I was on the way home from the beach, and we were talking, and the conversation kind of went on and on. In essence, he was bringing on a business partner, or he wanted to bring on a business partner, and he was kind of trying to outline some of the roles, some of the goals, kind of to talk about some of the stuff that Chris and I do, and how what how that works inside our business. And he was a newer operator. He'd been in the hard money lending world with typically his own money, and he was looking to expand. And he knew his skill sets, and he knew his new potential partner skill sets, and he was trying to just get our feedback on it, right? And it was interesting because he talked for a long time related to a few things, and I'm like, listen, dude, like, here's the thing. Like, what do you want out of this business? What do you want out of this partnership? Do you really want to bring on a partner? Where do you see this business down the line? So many people think about today. I need to make a quick buck, or I want to do this, or I'm saving for this, or I need to buy this property. And I hate personally, I just don't like the concept of like, what's your why? What's your why? What's your why? Right? Because like, I feel like a lot of people say that in the wrong context. And that changes a lot. And it regularly, especially at startup stage, like but like in my mind with him, it's like, what do you want out of this business? And like, where do you see yourself down the road? Like, do you want, $100,000 a year business, $1 million a year business, a 10 million, 100 million, $1 billion? Like, nobody can make that decision for you. You have to figure out that yourself. And it's so funny because all of it kind of goes back to like how you set goals. You take the end in mind and you work your way back. And it ended up, he was like, listen, I think if I bring on this partner, I could grow a lot quicker than me doing it myself. They'll hold me accountable for some of the things that maybe I'm not that strong on. And, he had a few $1 million deployed, and he wanted to get to about $10 million deployed. And he didn't really want to bring on much overhead or staff or things like that. And he felt that instead of having to hire staff and do this kind of one direction, he was like, I want to have $10 million deployed, and that can make myself and my business partner a good lifestyle. And that's what he wanted out of it. And I don't think he thought through that kind of on the front end until it was, what do you want out of your business, and how do you see this being, how do you see this down the road? Not today. And I think that put a lot of perspective into things.
Yeah. And I think that's important, and the why question is not so much into, we all know the why, right? I think everyone's why is somewhat similar. The why is to support a family, to have a lifestyle that you enjoy, right? And that why, too many people put that up on the pedestal, and they don't enjoy what they're doing along the way, and they don't take some of the benefits along the way. And just because you've created the why doesn't mean that you shouldn't go out there and continue to crush and destroy. Because guess what? In times like today, we're recording this at the end of the summer of 2023 as a timestamp. We're in a really fucked up time. And this could change for the worse, and it could change for the better. So you have your why up on a pedestal, and you've achieved your goal, and you hit the pause button. And then all this crap happens that we're all dealing with right now. Hyperinflation, deal flows crazy, inflation, higher debt rates. Now, all of a sudden, the money that you were making is starting to vanish. Jason and I know a guy that has built a really nice portfolio, takes some leverage on some stuff, but kind of hit the pause button because some family stuff that he's dealing with and doing has gotten in the way. And he hits the pause button. It's like, yo, dude, what are you doing? Hitting the pause button. Like, if you just continue to grow, man, like a little bit further, you can continue to do what you wanted to do. Just, you can't take all the chips off the table at once. Too many people want to be like, I got it. I'm taking all the chips off the table. I'm going to enjoy this. And then when it runs out, I'm going to go do it again.
There's no pause button in business, and there's no pause button in life. There can't be a pause button, because you're either moving forward and you're either moving backwards. And here's the thing. If you're like treading water, like, what happens when when you tread water. Eventually, you drown, right? Like you can't tread water forever. You can't stay stagnant forever. You'll go backwards. So you've got to continue to move forward. And again, that that might look different than what the past is. Everybody who's already been through a startup phase of a business, they might not want to they might not want to start up another business. I get it, right? It's hard. It's startup phase, right? You're trading a lot of sweat equity for cash flow and for cash and for income. And sometimes you learn the most from those lessons because you're very desperate and you kind of need to. But that being said, like you did the hard work, right? Pat yourself on the back. You did your hard work kind of at the startup phase, and you're just in a different place, right? Usually at the beginning of any business or the beginning of any real estate investment, you're trading sweat equity for cash. That's just what it is. You don't have a lot of funds. You're working really, really hard. And then eventually, let's just say that's 1. And then 10 is, hey, you have a ton of cash. You just need to put that money to work and to deploy it, right? And most people are in between that, right? Most people are in between those stages. And it's a constant. I mean, listen, nobody wants to be like, hey, I want to grind forever. Some people, are sickos and they want it and they love it. And, me and Ian might fall into that category sometimes, but not always. But a lot of times it's just kind of doing the block and tackle every day over and over and over and over and over and over. There's things that you don't like doing. Figure out the things that you do like doing and do them.
Well, and the block and tackle changes along the way, right? Like, so if you're grinding, like we used to swing hammers, now we don't swing hammers, we swing pencils. But we have to, right, to keep the business afloat because it's what needs to be done. And that's the next level and that's the next iteration. Too many people get stuck in this identity of, well, this whole business is hinged on me. Well, the business isn't hinged on you. And I think that's where a lot of people get in trouble. And, I know we haven't had anyone and we should go out and find a guest that's a killer in buying businesses, but that's like a huge opportunity right now. I think it's a huge opportunity in real estate too, is your mom and pop operators are going to continue to get crushed along the way because they're not scaling, they're not growing, they're not moving along with the times, right? Like, and, at one point we had third-party property managers and people are like, why do you give a shit so much about property management? I said, because if I don't understand what needs to be done, I can't help them. And my goal is to help the third party advance. And a lot of people just get stuck in it all relies on me, rather getting stuck in okay, well, I had it rely on me. Now, how do I get it to rely on someone else and help them and assist them and help them grow? Like our job today is vastly different than when we started. Our job at the beginning was to find deals and source vendors. Now we have people in place that handle that. Our job is to motivate and assist our employees and help them grow. And as they grow as humans, then that trickles down into the business. And if we all have that common goal, it continues to grow in the correct trajectory. So, if you're thinking like, I don't know how to get to the next level, it's not that you don't know how to get to the next level. You just need to reframe what you do. It's easy to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again versus saying, you know what, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do something a little different. This next flip I'm going to do, I'm not getting involved. I'm going to let the contractor handle it, or I'm going to let a project manager handle it. And I'm only going to direct them and say, you know what materials we use, go figure it out and go in and check up on them and set some budgets and guidelines and start building that process to work your way out. And that's how we did it. And again, that's how I was able, Dan and I were gone offshore fishing for a whole week with no cell phone contact. And things still managed to get done. And it started early on.
And two of the biggest rebuts that somebody who's in that position will have, so I'm just going to rebut them for you so you don't have to think about it, is they're going to say, well, I don't have the money there's not a budget for them to make any money in this particular deal. And that might be the case, but guess what? What happens if, they make, let's say it was going to be a $30,000 profit and in essence, whatever, they were going to make 20, in essence, it's going to cost you 20,000 for them to do it. And they're doing 99% of the work and you're doing 1% of the work. Okay. You made $10,000 to do nothing. Right. And I'm not stating those are accurate figures, but think about it like that, right? That's one way to look at it. And then you can spend your time on going to find better deals or cheaper capital or, cheaper vendors, right? And then you can make that arbitrage up and or scaling in, instead of doing one deal to make a $30,000 gross profit or even net profit a year, maybe you can do 5 deals and you make $20,000 on each one of those, a little bit less on each one, and you make that much more money, right? So that's always a big rebut. The second rebut that most people have is like, well, they're not going to do it the way I want to do it, and they're not going to do it right.
You're right.
But guess what? Your way might not be the right way, and their way might not be the wrong way, right? There's different ways to potentially do something. And guess what? Chances are they'll probably do it 80 or 90% as good as you will anyways. They might do it better than you, but like, even if they don't do it as good as you, they probably will still do it at 80, 90%. This was a big limiting belief that I had early on at one of our hires. And guess what? You're out and they do it all. And your job is to train them. One little bit of piece of wisdom though on that is, going back to the beginning, you got to make sure that's what you want out of your business. If you want to do 1 or 2 deals a year yourself and be hands-on because you love it, great. But there's no complaining, right?
Yeah, but there's well, I was going to rebut you there. Like, I know you're on a run there, and I was going to talk about the other thing you're talking about, but like, there's so much financial risk in doing it that way, right?
No
like,
doubt.
if you only do 1 deal or 2 deals, like, it's when people have a housing portfolio. You look at, I got 1 house. Cool. You got all your risk in 1 fucking house. 1 house goes vacant. You're 100% vacant. You have 4 houses and 1 house goes vacant. You're only 25% vacant, right? It's the same thing. If you're only going to do 1 or 2 deals, it better well and be worth your fucking time. And that you know that deal is going to work out, because there is so much financial risk in doing that. And sometimes taking a bunch of small bites is better than taking one giant bite out of something, and doing it small, slow and steady is what allows you to get you there. And what you were talking about of like, someone might not do it the same way you do it, or 80 to 90% of what you're going to do. You know what? You'll find out. And I was going to ask you, Jay, is like, most employees just want direction. They don't want to be told. They don't want to be micromanaged. I love when people say, we don't micromanage. Okay, no shit. Let me see. And they're like, hey man, go do this, this, and this. Well, that's micromanaging versus saying, hey man, here's the task for the day. Figure it out. Have fun. I don't want to hear about it. And I've been dealing with it with our intern, Sean. I love him. And he's like, hey, what do you need me to do next? Hey, what do you need me to do next? Hey, I just hand him a list at the beginning of the day and say, go do it, get it done. And check in with me when you think you have most of it done. Let's have a conversation. Continue to go. Most people are like, they say they don't want to micromanage, but then they're telling people exactly what to do, how to do it, which way to drive, and all that. And all it does is turn your employees off. Your employees, or people that work with you or for you, whether they're vendors, employees, want to know that they have autonomy to make decisions. And the common goal is to put the property first or the business first. And yes, there's bad apples, and you need to step in and say, hey man, like, I don't think that was right. And that's not how we do it here. Here's how we do it. Now go do that, right? Like, there's times to step in, but too many people want to step in as soon as it doesn't go the way they want to get it done. And knowing that and recognizing that will allow you to get further and allow you to hire people and allow them to stick around versus micromanaging them to death, because most people are just going to quit and not even want to deal with it.
Yeah. And again, as you grow a portfolio, it's not easy. You're always going to have challenges. I love the meme or the quotes that I hear I hear and see on Instagram all the time, where it's like, it's just easier to be broke, but it's actually, or is it really harder to be broke? And then there's one like, hey, it's just easier to be overweight, but it's harder to be overweight, right? It's easier to have a smaller business, right? But it's actually harder to have a smaller business, right? Because then you're doing everything. So the easy, hard word I love. And I think about that all the time, right? Like, I'll give you an example. Like, if you're hiring your first employee, and I know a lot of hard money lenders that I've chatted with, and I'm just going to relate to hard money lenders because that's the business that I'm in. And some real estate investors I know as well, they're trying to hire their first employee, and it's challenging, right? It's challenging because where do I find them? How much do I pay them? What if they don't work out? Like, eventually they kind of just cave and be like, okay, this person's good enough. I'm going to go with it. Right. And a lot of mistakes are done because transparency, not properly training. I mean, it's so much on the front end, right? Like, recruiting and, a proper employee that's going to represent you in your company is challenging. But I think a lot of people want to replace themselves and they want to find somebody who's exactly them, which is which is obviously challenging. But regardless, and I think about like the easier the hard, because like, you know what, it's just easier if I just do it myself and I don't have to hire somebody. And then guess what, that 40 or 50 or $100,000 I was going to pay them, I'll just keep that. Well, actually it's harder because now you're doing it all yourself, dummy, on it. So I challenge you to use the easy hard. It's easier or harder with a lot of things in your life, because I've been doing that recently and it's interesting.
Well, and I would also say is you don't know who to hire, what to pay them. And most people, like you said, want to replace themselves completely. I'm just going to let you know right now, like that's not going to happen, right? Like you're always going to be a part of your business. Figure out exactly what you want to do in your business and let everything else hit the floor. And until you're spending 70% or 80% of your day doing exactly what the fuck you want to do, then you need to put people in place, or you need to put systems in place or vendors in place to take that stuff off your plate. You know, I love underwriting. I love raising capital. I don't love doing the taxes. I don't love doing all the other investor relationship stuff. But you know what? That's a part of the game until we can hire someone, right? And but I'm still spending 70 to 80% of my day going through deals, talking to brokers, looking at our current portfolio, and doing the stuff that I love to do. And I remember early on, you told me, you said, hey, man, just write everything you don't want to do on a whiteboard. And I don't know that it exactly happened that way, but we knew that it was like, hey, we can't continue to sustain driving around the Beltway every day, flipping houses. We need to hire somebody. And we found somebody who thought exactly like us. And Ryan's, been one of our best hires to date. He's still with us today, and he basically runs the operation. And he stepped in and he owned that role. And he's like, let me take stuff off your plate. And when we hired Raquel, it was the same thing. She was like, listen, if you're not going to give me more work, I'm bored. I'm out of here. And I was like, oh shit. All right, girl, here you go. And that was day one or day two. She's like, if this is all this is going to be, I'm out. And too many times as business owners, we're like, all right, I don't know if the employee can handle this. But when they do this task every single day, they're going to do it tenfold better than you. They might not do it the way you're going to do it, but they are going to do it tenfold better than you. Like Rowena, who's our VA, who cuts up all the reels that you guys get to see after we do these podcasts, she's tenfold better. Like I could get them done. I could have Sean do them. But Sean's only a short-term answer to our problem. And Rowena does these every day. And she's got a system now. And she knows how to get them posted. She knows where to cut us. She knows, all right, Jason and Ian break up talking in these certain spots. I know I can cut this little piece. Boom, it's out. It's all automated now. And again, as a business owner, you need to find people who want to support you where you're weak, or where they can allow you to do what you love to do every single day.
And I think more people are naturally more driven than you think.
Correct.
I think if someone's ever had a bad hire, it's just like people are lazy, like they don't want to do any work. It's like, well, you got to find that right person who is driven and challenged, and excited about the position to do that. And going back to like, hey, it's all automated. I think a lot of people have anxiety of like, oh, I got so much on my plate. I don't know where to start. Like what's next? And then they just like, hey, it's just easier. I'm going to do it myself because I don't want to put a procedures manual or a training material together and go out and hire somebody. And this, episode is not just about hiring people. Obviously, this is just kind of a topic that we're ranting on at this point. But I think it's kind of like, cool. Well, start somewhere. I feel like you got to be good about being disciplined to just start somewhere. I mean, everybody's anxious about the future and of like, I have so much, like, I don't even know where to start. And it's just like, start somewhere, pick out something and do it. And I agree. Like the whole reels setup and some of the video editing is just kind of like set it and forget it. I mean, I've got a Facebook ads guy that I pay weekly or monthly. I'm sorry, every other week. I was almost right, but in essence, he gets paid pretty much full time monthly, but like he gets paid every other week. And like he's had very little work because we created some campaigns that worked out great, and like I never really have to think about it. Like I can go in and potentially like spend a lot of time and dissect the ads and redo some of the stuff and try to get my conversions a little bit lower. But I'm like, they're working. Let's keep moving.
Right.
Like, let's use my brain power for something else.
Yeah. Well, and I know we've beaten this topic to death, but like you can't enjoy life unless you have these systems and processes in place. And one of the things that I know is when there's a task that needs to be trained to someone else, it's going to take you 3 or 4 times as it normally takes you to do that task to train someone. And it sucks. But you know what? It goes back to your easy versus hard. Later on, life's going to get easier when someone knows how to do that task. And spending the time to train them is going to free you up later in life to be able to go out and enjoy life and enjoy the fruits of our labor and allow everybody inside the company as a whole to enjoy the fruits of their labor. It's not just about the owners. It's not just about, oh, Dan and Ian got to go offshore fishing. It's like, no, we get to go offshore fishing and, employees can take off and take vacation. And it's like, okay, we have systems and processes in place. If they're off from work, their stuff's still being handled. Actually, we're having one of our employees fly up to come to our a summer party that we're having from Baton Rouge, who's been with us since day one of the storage stuff. And it's like, man, like he's coming up here to visit us. Well, who's going to take care of the stuff? But we have the systems and processes in place to go take care of that stuff while he's out of town. And that's what allows the business to continue to run. And just, I would challenge you, if you have a small business, or if you're a one-man band, or you're like, I kind of like what I got. Think about when you go away on vacation, how much quality time you're spending with your family. And or if you got hurt tomorrow, and I think that's an advantage we had is like in our original career path was I could be dead tomorrow. And if we were dead tomorrow, how does my wife and Dan's wife continue to run the business? And it's automated.
Yeah.
And most people don't think about that because it's like, oh, it'll be fine. But spend time thinking about that.
Well, they don't think about it because it hasn't happened to them in the past, typically. And I think one thing, and we can end this rant segment. Maybe we were preaching a little bit more than we were expecting. We were kind of looking to just shoot the shit on this episode and talk about White Marlin Open. But whatever, we'll keep going because it's obviously something we're passionate about. That's why we keep ranting about it. But like, you only learn from the past typically, and I think a lot of real estate investors really need to check, reality check their businesses, because I'm scared for a lot of folks because they only know the real estate market going up, right? They've only seen the good times. I bought a deal, I flipped it, I made some money. I bought another deal, I flipped it, I made some money. I bought another deal, I flipped it, I made some money. I bought another deal. My contractor stole 40 grand from me and I still made some money, right? And it was all shit, right? Like it didn't matter. It was just every deal. They worked out. What do you learn from success sometimes? Like, I like success and I want success to be better. What do you learn from failures? Or I want to continue to succeed again because I like it, right? What do you learn from failures? It's like, oh shit, I screwed up. I can't do that again. I have to do it like this the next time, right? How many folks, our company included, have done bad deals over the last 10 years, but didn't even realize they were bad deals because they ended up being profitable, right? Because the real estate market made them profitable. Things are going to change, right? The real estate market at some point, real estate's always a cycle. At some point, there is going to be a dip where it's going to stay stagnant. We've been talking about it for a long time. I think everyone's been talking about it a long time. When's that going to happen? Who the hell knows? But it will happen. So I fear for the folks, starting back from what you said at the beginning. And you want me to open up this file?
No,
I can't actually. But I fear for the folks that don't have their ducks in order. And if you don't have your ducks in order, like, it's okay. Don't be scared. Put them in order, because when things happen and you're not prepared for them, like, things happen quickly. Bad things. You want me to open up this real quick?
Yeah, sure. So actually, Ryan.
Yeah, let's talk about the White Marlin Open. Forget all business stuff.
Yeah. So Ryan Daubert, one of our insurance agents who we've had on the podcast, it's been a little bit now. He he sent me a picture last year of Michael Jordan's boat. And I said, holy shit, man, you're fishing the White Marlin Open. And he said, nah, dude, like, can never get enough guys to go. Are you in? I said, yep. So January of this year, he hit me up. He said, I'm seriously doing this. I got the boat. I got the house. I got everything. Okay. So he's like, I need a few guys. I'm like, all right, I'll fill your boat. You just tell me what you need. So this year we had the opportunity to get in there and fish. Dan, myself, and one of our investors went out with Brian and two of his friends and a mate. And we had an amazing time. Obviously, this only catches the good. Some crazy stuff happened. Unfortunately, we did not win any of the $10.5 million that was up for grabs. But you know what? Like, the fact that we had the wherewithal to be able to go out, do this, have the capital to say, okay, we're taking off a week. We're going to go get a place. We're going to go do our thing. Was awesome.
Can we watch this? Blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
The intern made this, so enjoy it. Hopefully the sound works. And
hey, if the sound doesn't work, since we're live and like we talked about earlier, authentic about all this stuff, no edits. When we're live, wave me down, Ian. If you can't hear if you can't hear, I'm gonna start it. I'll try to start it.
Hit the mute button.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time. Never.
Keep going. It's fine. You can turn it back up. Let's fucking go, Daniel.
Nice.
Yeah, so we were able to so Dan was able to reel in a white marlin. It was not a income producing fish, but that was a rough day that we had that day. Monday and Friday, just we kind of got skunked. Everybody was hooked up around us. Wednesday we had some boat issues. Almost got stuck at sea. Got a little weird for a second, but in the end, it was a grand old time. And I'm glad that we were able to catch a white marlin in the 50th anniversary of the White Marlin Open, even though we didn't get to bring it to the scales and it would have been a high dollar fish. It just is what it is. And you know what? The fact, again, you can't say it enough. The fact that we had the wherewithal to be able to go out there and do that. I'm thankful for everything that we've built. I'm thankful for everyone on our team that was able to handle everything while we were gone. And overall, it was a really, really, really good time.
No doubt. Question for you on it. So Dan had to keep his hand on the reel the whole time, right? But the other guys could help him as the fish comes in.
Yeah, so you can set the hook, and then once you pass it to the angler cannot come off of it. There's actually a guy who had the largest tuna and probably would have made a lot of money. They were posted a video of them passing the rod around, and that's like rule number one. Once you touch it, you can't pass it off. Like if you're hooked up there was a dude that was hooked up for 7 hours. He was fishing for 7 hours on a fish and never even landed it. So if you hook up and it's your fish, you're stuck.
But after the fish gets close to the boat, he just has to stay on the rod and the other guys can go over and get him.
We can grab the fish and get the fish up on the boat, but you cannot touch the rod and reel. Absolutely not. You can stop him from falling. You can help him get set up. But once he's actively under the fight, like he cannot pass that rod and reel off to anybody else.
So, but like related to the line, like you could put gloves on and pull the line up with him?
When it gets close to the boat for the leader, yeah, but
that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, you can't, like, when it gets close to the boats, you got to like spear them, right? And like, bring them up. You can't do it yourself. You can't.
Yeah.
So, but they just can't touch the.
They can't assist in reeling the fish in. So, they're actually, if you went over a certain dollar amount, you have to go take a lie detector test the next day. So, I was hoping that we'd be sitting there strapped up, on the lie detector test, but it didn't work out. Looking forward to next year. Maybe we'll have to syndicate our boat, allow people to invest into it, and see if we can hook up next year.
Yeah, that's funny. Dude, that's good, man. It looks like you guys had a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. I mean, but again, you can't have that good time unless you have system and processes in place. I mean, you were away for a few days. You were down there at the same time. I know you got to go out golfing and stuff, and you guys still managed to do deals in that whole time frame, right? Like, and this isn't a rub in people's face of like, oh, we're out fucking off. No, it's like, this is why you do what you do, to be able to go out and enjoy these things. And if one of our employees came to us and said, hey, I have the opportunity to go do this, and I'm going to go do it, I'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Go enjoy yourself. You work hard enough here. Let's enjoy life side by side with what we're building.
It's funny. You typically have like really like you end up being really busy sometimes and productive when you're away from the office too, right? Because a few reasons. Let's say you only have a few hours a day to work, or even if you don't want to work, but like you bang out all the important stuff. Like that's what you prioritize. And it's just coincidence, but I think that happens a lot. It's like, man, like I remember you telling me that last August, I think it was, just like, man, or last September, I've had the best, month in the last 3 years when I'm away. So, all right, man. So let's wrap this up. Anything else we should add before we let all our wonderful viewers take a break from our voices?
Well, they enjoy our voices. We get great distribution, not only here, but, when it goes out to the email list, everyone enjoys it. But I got to say, man, I mean, I would say overall, we've had a really good year. Have enjoyed our year. It's been a good time. I'm looking forward to closing out the year. We have some interesting projects coming up, just switched investor dashboards. I mean, dude, like, again, it's always about growing and doing the right thing. You have something that's broken in your business, go fix it. And sometimes it happens faster than others. Like, we were able to onboard a completely new investor dashboard within 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, and prior to going out. And I thought that was a testament to everything that we've been building. And, it's cool to watch, man. It absolutely is.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, you make it sound like it's December 15th. It's just the middle of August.
No, I know it's the middle of August. There's a lot of
barely halfway through the year.
There's a lot of year left. There's a lot of year left. But that shit gets burned up really quick, man. Kids go back to school. Next, you're like, oh my God, it's, I know that we have, let's see, it's almost the end of August. September, I might go to SSA. October, I have my event. November, you have your event, and boom, it's December. The year's planned out in my mind. So it's not that the year's over. It's just like, man, it's going to fly. It's going to fly. So.
No doubt.
But.
Cool.
All
right. We'll let everybody go. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to give us a shout out, like, comment, whatever you think is reasonable. And, feel free to share it with your group or your friend, family, spouse, another real estate colleague. That would be super, super helpful. And we will see everybody next week with a live guest. So that'll be fun. See everybody.
If anyone knows anyone that buys businesses, send them our way looking to interview someone. I think that'd be a really cool episode because there's a massive opportunity on the horizon.
No doubt.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too. Till next time, thank you for tuning in.